Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. It is Wednesday, May 25th, 2016. I'm Leanne McAdoo.
And I'm Rob Dew. And here's a look at what's coming up tonight.
Tonight, the Dreamer riots get even more violent as protesters create what the police called a gauntlet of hate, burning American flags, flying Mexican flags, screaming insults in English and Spanish, and hurling rocks as they physically attack the police, Trump attendees, and even a man in a wheelchair. But they're not just angry at Trump. More than 1,300 student protesters are demanding colleges get rid of any grades below a C. Welcome to Lake Wobegon, where all the kids pretend they're above average. And a DMV scam that has cost 1.3 million drivers in Texas alone their license and $1.8 billion in fines. Most Texans don't know this is happening. Is it happening in your state? Eddie Craig breaks it down with Darren McBreen. All that and more on tonight's Infowars Nightly News.
I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. Take advantage of this at InfoWarsLife.com.
Well, while everyone is watching the mayhem that is rolling out this election cycle, Rand Paul is still working diligently on some other very important issues. So keep a lookout on that. He's still pushing to have the 28 redacted pages of the 9/11 investigation report released. He wants that to be released within the next 60 days of the National Defense Authorization Act being signed into law later this year. So look out for that. He has long been the spearhead behind this pushing to get these pages out. But he is also introducing an amendment to the upcoming defense bill saying that the current administration and other presidents to come are totally abusing the authorization for military use of force because it was granted back in 2001 for Afghanistan and Iraq after 9/11. But now they're just
we're just going to keep using it for whatever we feel
exactly,
like.
Rolling out. And he says the Constitution explicitly gives the power to declare war to Congress. And the never-ending series of wars is not being wound down by Obama. And we can only imagine what will happen if someone like Hillary Clinton gets in. So definitely keep an eye on what Rand Paul is up to.
Yeah, and what's interesting is the Saudi government's now come out and is starting to place blame on the American government, saying, well, you need to look at your own government before you come after us, because we can't be, if we're going to get sued, then. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. We've talked about it plenty of times before. I don't know how you have 3 buildings fall when only 2 were hit by airplanes.
And then you see the metal rods there that were supposedly supporting the building are
cut at an angle.
Cut at an angle. So obviously, if we find out the Saudi connection, we're going to find out why Bush flew the bin Laden family out the next day on private jets, even though. I mean, it's going to be.
Go listen to Willie Rodriguez's testimony. He heard it and felt an explosion before the plane even hit. How does that happen?
Yeah. Well, it'll be very interesting. So now let's move on to another vast conspiracy. It's always evident when you see all of the establishment media parroting the exact same thing. So obviously they got the orders from down on high that it's finally time to call out Donald Trump for his visit to
as a conspiracy
Infowars.
theorist.
Oh my goodness, he and Roger Stone have been visiting sites, and so now we've got the New York Times. There's Media Matters, Washington Post, CNN,
MSNBC,
talking about how Donald Trump is the conspiracy candidate, and now right-wing media is getting its wish that these type of topics are finally now pushed out in the mainstream. Of course, now that he is coming out talking about things that the media refuses to talk about.
Right.
For instance, Bill Clinton's sex scandals.
How about the 25+ trips he took on the pedophiles jet? You know, never mention that. You got to mention of it in Fox News, but nothing else. You know, and those questions won't be asked to Hillary. What do you think of this? No, we're going to sit there and focus on Trump and what he's saying, who he might have dated in the past. I mean, Trump's not being accused of infidelity. Right. You know,
or
they accuse him of making a comment to a woman in a bikini.
Oh, who does that?
Terrible.
What an awful guy.
But they really have come out. I'm working on a video with Alex that I'm going to release as soon as it's done, put it out on YouTube, where he's exposing that the media is in panic mode right now because they see the writing on the wall. They see what Trump's doing. They don't like what he's talking about. They don't like who he's talking about. So their only defense at this point is to try to poke holes in what Trump's done. Oh, he wasn't the perfect businessman. He, doesn't like Rosie O'Donnell. He doesn't like Mexicans. He doesn't like Middle Easterners. Just anything they could come up with. And those talking points that are talked about in the mainstream media have parroted down to all their little groundlings who are running around trolling
because
these
they're all
Trump
owned
events.
by the same people.
Exactly.
And so they get their talking orders and they all put out the same. So you can read all the different articles and platforms and it all says the exact same thing. And then so, of course, Donald Trump points out, why do we have all these cameras and reporters following me when if you really want to see a scandal, go look at the Clinton Foundation. Like, look at that there. And we'll get to that coming up later with this email server. I mean, my goodness, smoking gun, it is done with her. The fact that they've finally put this report out. But, he's absolutely right with the Clinton Foundation. If you want a real scandal, why doesn't the Washington Post have 20+ reporters on that?
Because that's what they're not interested in. Hillary Clinton is a mouthpiece and a hack for the establishment. So they want to place her, anoint her as the next president. And they are just losing their SH, if you know what I'm talking about, over Trump, because he has just defied every expectation at this point, especially mine. I didn't think he would even get this far. I figured they would steal the nomination from him. And there's still a chance to do that. They just gave, I think, 40 of the 41 delegates from Washington to Ted Cruz, even before the primary happened. So he won the primary, but he doesn't get any of the delegates. So they're still working on that from the back room. So we may see some fireworks shed at the RNC this summer.
Well, we're definitely going to be seeing them at the DNC. Everyone has been kind of blaming all of the violent protesters on Trump and his supporters, but we know where it's really coming from.
If you go to any Trump
rally,
just hang out outside and you can see the talking point mass brainwashing going on with the public. These people don't have original thoughts in their head. They refuse to read any of his policies because I have asked them, would you read any of his policies? No, I don't have time for that. Oh, but you got time to write down all the talking points and make sure you hit them all.
Come here and argue with me. If you have the talking points, then you're good. Right. Just don't get into any actual real debates with anyone.
And if you do get into a conversation that lasts more than 2 questions, run the other direction.
Yeah, or just yell and blow your whistle, kind of like the protesters we're about to talk about. Now, we're going to have some video coming up in the next segment. Jakari Jackson's on the ground there, Michael Zimmerman. They actually got rocks thrown at them, tear gassed once again. So these are violent protesters breaking through the barricade there at the Trump rally. And
Bernie said it could be messy. He came out and said, hey, this could be messy.
Yeah, because right now they have their little minions going after Trump. Right. And none of them have been going after Hillary Clinton, who is Bernie Sanders' actual competition at the moment. So they kind of lost their chance where, maybe they could have been taking out Hillary Clinton, but really they would have just turned more people to voting for her, which is what's happening. Then more people are now voting for Trump. So last night, Milo Yiannopoulos, he is a really controversial writer for Breitbart. He's hilarious. He's like an excellent troll level.
Masterful triggerer is what I think
he's like a master triggerer. And so he's on this tour where he's going around to universities, really talking about the First Amendment and why it needs to be protected and just triggering social justice warriors left and right. It is hilarious. So last night, he went to DePaul University. And once again, we are seeing how these schools are just backing down in the face of these violent protesters. And they're saying, oh, well, we need to protect their First Amendment right. So
they're enabling the everyone gets a medal society,
right,
which is these young kids that they've grown up. They've never lost anything because everybody gets a medal for everything. There's no losers. Everybody's a winner.
And we get everything done by yelling and pounding our fists.
Exactly.
And so the schools are just encouraging this type of action. And so last night, you can see some of the things that were done there. We'll play the video.
Yeah, they blew whistles. They grabbed the microphone out of the interviewer's hand. They threatened to punch Milo in the face. They screamed, "Feel the burn." They basically took over the stage, and Milo just kept his composure and stood there. And it's really interesting the way, these kids think this is a normal way to act. They think this is okay.
This is them exercising their First Amendment right to just forcibly shut down an event where these Republican students on campus paid a lot of money. They had to do a lot of activism for months to try and raise the funds to get the speakers there. And so this auditorium is filled with people who wanted to hear him speak. And so then you have this other group, they come, they rush the stage, threatening physical violence. Look she's in his face. That right there is threatening. And the other big issue is that the school, DePaul, they violated their contract just a few days beforehand, and they said, you know what, you need to get more security for this, and you have to pay for it. And Breitbart actually paid an extra $1,000 to get some more additional security. And then when the security was there, they were told to stand down and to allow the protesters to do their thing. And
because we don't want to hurt the precious snowflakes.
Yeah, we don't want to hurt the snowflakes. We don't want anything to happen. And meanwhile, they're threatening to punch him in the face and all of this stuff. And so now you can see that even the left establishment, this is coming out of HuffPost, right? The Huffington Post, they are even saying, wow, look at the monsters that we have created. We've been enabling these people. And this is someone saying out of the HuffPo, like, someone please introduce me to a good constitutional law professor because I'm really confused about the First Amendment. Until yesterday, I never realized that forcibly shutting down a private speaking event was considered free speech. I was also surprised to learn that assaulting a police officer is now a form of protest. And it certainly never occurred to me that making violent threats toward a speaker was a constitutionally protected right. So in fact, I was pretty confident all of these things were highly illegal, but yet that's exactly what radical protesters did yesterday.
And the crowd, had enough. And after an extended period of time, they started chanting at the security, do your job, do your job. Hey, stop. We're having an event, a private event for our club or whatever they had over there. They invited Milo to come speak.
Right.
I used to go watch these people speak in college, different people would come in. And I never saw people act this way. You might have people protesting out front or right in front of the door or handing out leaflets or something or trying to engage people, but never to this degree. And the enabling
where they're actually threatening violence. We have Paul Joseph Watson article up where now there's even more kill Trump threats.
And that's okay.
Flooding Twitter before the Anaheim, the Anaheim event that's set to take place, where we've got guys on the ground there as well, and they're expecting riots. I mean, we saw what happened last night in Albuquerque, just insane mayhem, madness. And these are people, they're just exercising their First Amendment right. And that's something that people always argue on the other side. They say, well, it doesn't protect violent or hateful speech. And yet that's exactly what's happening here. And they're being protected. They're threatening to punch someone in the face and making violent threats, and yet they're protected. So it only protects
the speech that they feel is okay. If it's not okay speech, then we can't have it. It's hurtful. It scares me. And they base it goes back to their feelings. Has no basis in logic. And if you watch, there's a video, I think it's called Degenerate Protesters Curse at People Going into the Trump Rally. This is yesterday. And as these people are walking through, they have to walk through a gauntlet of people screaming and cursing at them. When the females walk by, they're like, "You're a woman, how could you? I mean, these people are just such scum. Where do they come from?
Right.
And why do they think it's their place to go out and try to change or scream at people? It's the screaming at people constantly.
Where are they getting this little violent fascist Red Guard training? And that's what's so frightening.
Yeah.
And if I was a parent, I would rip my kids out of these universities because they're not being well prepared to get a job when they get out of school. And all of these future employers are going to have to be dealing with this type of babyish behavior For instance, check this out. Students are wanting to abolish midterms and any grades below a C.
That's right.
Because they said that they've been too busy with their political activism. They've been out too busy protesting that they haven't been able to study well. And so now they're making these demands saying, we demand you abolish the midterm and allow us to have a conversation with our teacher instead. I mean, what the hell? Like, this is what happens now. This is people can just come and make these demands and just completely restructure society and how it works. And these schools are encouraging it. The deans are like, you're right, I quit, I stepped down.
Yeah, they're totally kowtowing to these people. And it really is the mentality of everybody wins all the time. We can't have any losers. And it's a socialist mentality, really. This is what this is. And they've started this in grade school, in elementary school, and it just builds on up. And the kids expect it because this is how they've been treated their entire lives. And when you treat people like this,
spanked, everyone's a winner.
Yeah, exactly. And
and the thing totally too is like, imagine now they're doing this fight for 15. And so they're even now threatening to have these type of really exacerbated protests for this as well. But one robot costs $35,000, right? Yeah, that's kind of expensive. But to pay one person $15 an hour, 40 hours a week would cover the cost of that robot, who could replace every employee at McDonald's.
They're doing it at Wendy's
they're just they're like driving everything down into society. So
it's all right. This is what they want. This is what they want. This is a
lost generation.
This is what they want right here. They don't really work for a living. They want to scream and rant and think that's going to get their way. And I can't wait till they get out in the real world. These people try to go get a job with their women's studies degrees or their fairness and everything act or whatever these people are into.
Well, and that's the thing, is a lot of people are saying is that when you have people at the top who are so corrupt and your leaders are so corrupt and they're not checked, you're going to start to see that trickle down into society. And that is exactly what we're seeing. We have the Democratic frontrunner for president, Hillary Clinton, who violated the security rules. This whole email, people want to just, the email, it's not. Well, now we've got the smoking gun. They've released this report. And according to this audit, Clinton ignored the guidelines. She didn't seek approval from any of the senior information officers when she established and set up this private email server. And she was hacked several times, 2011 hack attempts, showing that she was afraid to open her email. The IT people said, okay, shut down the server for a few minutes, but don't anyone send her any sensitive information.
To read her emails for fun.
For funsies.
Yeah.
And here is the thing that I think is just the total smoking gun. She is guilty. She knew what she was doing. There was a November 2010 email exchange between her and Huma, which, by the way, her and Huma are the only two who have refused to cooperate with the State Department's investigation with the Inspector General. So hello. But in November 2010, Huma sent her an email saying, hey, we should talk about putting you on the state email or releasing your email address so that you're not going to spam, because she was going to some of her subordinates' spam email. And she said, let's get separate address or device, but I don't want any risk of the personal being accessible. So she didn't want her personal stuff accessed by the State Department. Boom, guilty, done deal.
Well, that's what happens when you're corrupt.
Absolutely. Well, stick around because we've got some excitement in Albuquerque.
There's a very important question that needs to be answered. Will humanity survive? And to look at that threat, we have to ask another question. What is the number one obstacle to human beings and our species surviving and becoming a type 1 civilization that isn't just dependent on this planet? You could say that it's changes in the heavens, suns going supernova, tectonic earthquake and volcano events, nuclear weapons, genetic engineering. But if you look at the race, the acceleration of technological development, I think the biggest threat overall is humanity not pacing ourselves and merging with artificial intelligence. So they're trying to end humanity as if it's a good thing and create this new species. Talk about mad scientist. And there have been several new articles on this just the last few weeks. DARPA is testing implantable chips in soldiers' brains is one of them. Another just came out in mid-April. Rich Americans seeks black market brain implants in bid to plug into artificial intelligence matrix. And they're going to go through the dangerous surgeries of being hooked up, not just with a few wires, but with thousands of connections total, to the brain, to an AI computer to try to merge consciousness. My father, a physician, recently went back to continuing education, part of keeping his medical license, and he brought me back some of the literature they gave them. This was from the state medical boards right here in Texas, that soon you'll have to have a DNA chip to get a prescription. Not just that chips are going to be on the pills and medicines themselves, but now you're going to have to give your blood, basically every time, a tiny prick, into a DNA chip database that tracks everything going on in your body as well as your genes. In this short report, we're only scratching the surface. And the big issue here is things they denied 20, 30 years ago that were going on, they're now admitting today. What are they doing that we don't know about? We need to have a debate about our species. We need to understand that the global elite have decided we're obsolete and are moving towards a robotic future where there's no place for humanity, as Bill Joy wrote over 15 years ago for Wired Magazine in his article, Why the Future Doesn't Need Us. And the numbers are in. Screen time, all the television, all the prescription drugs. This modern culture is killing us. Our IQs are dropping. People are becoming more and more ignorant. Society is unraveling and falling apart. So we know that the fruits of this high-tech poison tree are literally killing us. The answer is getting back to healthy living, gardening, spending time with our families, less screen time, and also using compounds that Mother Nature has produced that are known to boost our natural abilities. Humans have built an incredible world. We can change our environment. We do have that magic spark. But the elite think we're ugly and bad and have decided it's time that humans be thrown on the ash heap of history. We have taken some of the compounds that Mother Nature has produced and gotten the cleanest, purest sources of it and put it together in BrainForce, one of the most highly reviewed nootropic brain boosters on the market today that has an incredibly affordable price. Check out BrainForce today and other game-changing compounds like X2 Survival Shield at InfoWarsLife.com. Again, that's InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
The Texas Department of Public Safety has suspended over 1.3 million driver's licenses over an unconstitutional revenue-generating scheme that has put millions of Texans in double jeopardy, essentially double taxing individuals for traffic violations. So let's say you get a speeding ticket, or God forbid you're caught driving without car insurance. Not only do you have to pay a fine for the original citation, but now they are also forcing you to pay an added surcharge on top of that. And I tell you what, it's expensive too. And this is totally outside of the court system. The annual surcharges are even more costly than the original ticket fees. And they cost anywhere on average about, $2,000. And if you don't pay the ransom fee, or if you are late on one single payment, guess what? Your driver's license is suspended. So far, like I said, over 1 million people in Texas have lost their driving privileges because of this draconian program. But hey, it generates lots of money to the state, and that's what makes it so difficult to get rid of. And joining us now is former Texas Deputy Sheriff and host of Rule of Law Radio, Eddie Craig. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, I tell you what, George Orwell would be proud of the title of this program. It's called the Texas Driver Responsibility Program. It was created, from what I understand, to generate money for medical centers and roads while encouraging safer driving. So far, the state of Texas has tried to collect $1.8 billion worth of surcharges but more than 60% of the amount billed has gone uncollected. What do you know about the program, and what are people doing to repeal the program?
As far as repealing it, that I don't know, but I'm trying to educate people on what this program applies to and what it doesn't. The most important thing to understand about it is that it is completely unconstitutional in how it's being applied to the people of Texas, first off. What this surcharge is not determined by a jury for being convicted of some sort of crime or any other offense. This is attached after the fact, without the jury ever reviewing the money award that is being given to the state through these fees. When you go to trial and face a jury over a traffic citation, for instance, if you are under one of the programs that these fees apply to, like the Financial Responsibility Act, when they collect these fees after a conviction, that fee comes out of monies other than what the jury ruled against you for and what the fine limit in the actual statute is. Now, the important thing also to understand about that is that not only do these relate only to those people that are engaging in transportation, but these assessments of fees without a judicial determination of guilt in relation to those fees being determined by a jury or by a judge would be a bill of pains and penalties under any constitution in the land. And those are specifically prohibited here.
Well, I'm just shocked that this thing got, passed to begin with. And it's been a program since it was effective in 2003. But there are people that I've talked to and that I've read about who are still paying fines 10 years later. There was a woman, she was a 28-year-old mother who was driving her sister's car. Her sister had just passed away. She was driving her sister's car. She got pulled over. The car was not insured, so she paid the ticket. Right? She paid the ticket right away. But then months later, she found out that there was these surcharges that she was unaware of. Her license was suspended. And she was a pizza delivery person. She lost her job. And she has, since this time, has dumped thousands of dollars of trying to get her license back and just added charges from her original ticket 10 years ago. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous. This is one of the things about the Texas legislature giving over to a third-party collection agency these fees. The Department of Public Safety is the specific state agency in Texas that is given authority over these fees. The way the statute is written and the system is set up works more or less like this. Once a citation has been issued to an individual, if that citation involves a charge to which one of these types of administrative fees applies, 30 days after that ticket is written and filed with the court, that court will then send a notice to the Department of Public Safety to levy those fees, even if the person has never even been to trial in the matter or even been convicted. You will spend a lot of time and effort trying to get the DPS to withdraw those fees, even if you win the case or the charges are dismissed. They've already levied them against you and you've never been convicted of anything. This is just another underhanded way of doing civil asset forfeiture, except it's limited strictly to your money. They don't care who they're harming with this program. They don't care that it's being illegally applied to the general public when it is specifically limited by law to only those people engaged in the commercial occupation we call transportation. It was never meant to be applied to the general public. But even applied to those that agreed to it through accepting a license to engage in a business, it is still a denial of due process. It is still a bill of pains and penalties that is outlawed by the state constitution, the federal constitution, and every other constitution. Well, everything about this program is illegal.
Absolutely, and I think this quote says it all. This was at the Texas House Committee on Homeland Security and Public Safety, where Representative Joe Pickett, he's a Democrat from El Paso. Here's his quote. "Here's the reality. We are the government and we're not going to give up the money." So basically what they're saying is this is generating billions of dollars for the state of Texas, even though it's illegal. They're not willing to give it up.
Absolutely. And that representative right there should have been charged with treason and immediately arrested. He confessed to that in open session in front of 2 or more witnesses. That's treason.
You know, this reminds me.
They could charge him with that.
This whole thing reminds me of not only redcoats, but I can picture a mob boss going into a neighborhood stores and asking for protection money. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, how is this any different from a mobster stealing money from innocent civilians?
It's not, but it's not even under the guise of protection. It's you're going to pay us, or we're going to burn your house down and destroy your family and your ability to earn a living. We don't care if we offer you anything in return. You're just going to pay us. And that's essentially what it comes down to. Our government is now controlled by a bunch of thugs, thieves, and crooks of every level and magnitude you can imagine. They're no longer representatives, because by the very definition of a representative, they have the power to represent you, which means the limit of their authority is the same limit that your authority would be. If I can't go to my neighbor and demand that they pay me a fee just because I want one, then neither can my representative. And calling yourself government does not make the crime any less a crime. That's the part they don't seem to understand.
And I tell you what, this hits close to home for me, because I'm experiencing this firsthand myself, because I got pulled over in a truck that I was driving that was not insured. I was hit with the surcharge. I have to pay $2,000 in installment payments for 3 years. And guess what? If I miss a payment, or if I'm late on a payment, it says my license will be suspended. So I'm seeing it firsthand for myself.
Yeah, those fees never applied to you to begin with, nor did the license requirement, which we've discussed before on the show. In fact, I've got a new set of motions I'm doing now that exposes this when you're taken into court and forces the court to have to admit on the record, or show that they're not going to play by the rules regardless of what they say, kind of like what this representative admitted he's going to do as a representative. That shows unequivocally that this entire thing is a racket. It's been a racket from day one, because no one knows how to defend themselves in these courts that don't play by the rules to begin with.
Well, that's
then
right.
They turn around and throw you in jail when you don't pay.
And that's key right there. Nobody knows how to defend themselves. Eddie Craig, Rule of Law Radio. Last question. We're almost out of time. What do we do to fight this?
We need to be suing everybody involved. The Department of Public Safety, the agencies, the legislative members. They can declare immunity all they want. They don't have immunity for violating the Texas Constitution or the federal Constitution.
That's right.
They should know that by now.
That's right. All right. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Look forward to having you back again soon.
Thank you.
A lot of people ask me, what is the most important area of Infowars that runs the whole operation that is having such a big effect against the globalists? And I've said it over and over again, it is you, the listeners and the viewers, that send us the intel, the news tips, that support the broadcast, that spread the word. You are 90% of the operation or more. You don't stand beside us, you stand at the heart of Infowars. When I talk about the people at Infowars, from customer service, the shipping department, being just as important as our anchors, our researchers, our investigative journalists, and myself, it's absolutely true. Without this team that we've built over the last 20 plus years, we wouldn't be able to do any of what we've been doing. And that's what's so exciting, because we finally built up to a point where we now have the launch pad. Introducing AutoShip for InfoWarsLife.com, a new way to save time and money when you stock up on InfoWarsStore.com products. Again, ladies and gentlemen, when products are sold out, you're unable to get them, sometimes for months, but we hold back the products for people that have already signed up for AutoShip. When you choose AutoShip before checkout on your order at InfoWarsStore.com, we'll give you 10% off and give you guaranteed delivery of out-of-stock products that are on your AutoShip list. Plus, we're giving you free shipping on all orders above $50. Listeners have been requesting this for years because it's so easy to forget to reorder the products when you need them each month. Now it's finally here. AutoShip at InfoWarsStore.com and InfoWarsLife.com. It's easy. Go to InfoWarsStore.com, select your favorite product, click on the AutoShip, and choose how often you want us to send you another order. As you know, I coined the term 360 win, and with the new AutoShip feature at InfoWarsLife.com, it's a sure win. You add to that free shipping on orders of $50, it is a can't lose. Visit InfoWarsStore.com and save 10% off on your next InfoWars Life order by selecting Auto Ship at checkout and get free shipping on all orders above $50. That's InfoWarsStore.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Your liver can be full of fatty deposits, built-up toxins, and even dangerous objects known as liver stones. We worked with the top developers in the field of detox to take tried and true herbs and other compounds known to safely cleanse the liver and fused it with the latest research and technological development on concentrating these ingredients to give you the maximum effect. Liver Shield is the only liver support product on the market that uses a patented Spigyrex blend of powerful organic herbs that support detoxification. And when you visit InfoWarsLife.com, see the instructional video on how to do a 6-day liver detox. This isn't a game, and let me tell you, the results are dramatic. Liver Shield is totally organic and made of the safest high-quality herbs. Liver Shield is the only liver support product on the market that uses a patented Spigyrex blend of powerful organic herbs that support detoxification. And when you visit InfoWarsLife.com, see the instructional video on how to do a 6-day liver detox. This isn't a game, and let me tell you, the results are dramatic. Liver Shield is totally organic and made of the safest high-quality herbs. But that said, you need to consult your physician before you do the full detox. Liver Shield can also be used daily by itself for overall upkeep of the liver. Secure your Liver Shield today exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com for the lowest price available. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
Jackson reporting from Albuquerque, New Mexico, outside of the Trump rally. Trump is set to speak in about an hour from now. But as you can see right now, there's a large group of anti-Trump demonstrators. Let's go ahead and take a walk down here and see if maybe we can get a word with a few of the folks who came out here. Now, this is the anti-Trump side. There is a pro-Trump side, which is back that way. We'll try to get over there in just a little bit. Let's get a little bit closer here and see if we can take a look at some of the signs. So this guy has a very sensational sign. Sir, do you mind if I ask you what brought you out here today?
The First Amendment right to protest.
All right, we'll take a look at your shirt and at your sign here. So you got the F Trump shirt and also Trump for KKK, or KKK for Trump. What is your beef with Donald Trump?
Well, number one, I think he's a manifestation of the media. I mean, we have a reality star that's running for president. I mean, who's next? Kim Kardashian or Justin Bieber? That's pathetic. I mean, it really is. And I mean, he says anything just to pander to any crowd. So he's at Liberty University and he quotes Corinthians 2 or whatever, you know. So I mean,
as far as policy, what's his policies that you can't get with?
Well, I know that he'd revert back to the essence of tax cuts, okay, for the wealthiest, cutting trade embargoes, shipping out jobs. I mean, he says he's for American jobs, but all of his clothes that's made is made in China. So he's a hypocrite when it comes to that standpoint, you know, so.
All right. Anything else?
Oh, no, there's plenty of other things. His xenophobia, his racism, overt racism, and not being able to walk away from David Duke or any other white supremacists that endorse him, you know. So I mean, and the violence that's taking place at his rallies, you know.
Well, sir, I will challenge you on that point. We've seen people like Hillary be endorsed by Klan members as well.
I agree with that. Those are just trolls. I mean, really. I mean, okay, so if you look at the history of, because I teach history, okay, so conservatives opposed the Declaration of Independence because they didn't want to give up their power, okay? Donald Trump. But you look at the civil rights area, who was opposed to it? Conservatives. Who opposed to free and slavery? Conservatives. Who was opposed to allowing women to vote? conservatives. Okay, so paying for public education, they try to dismantle public education. I'm a public school and public education teacher, and they're constantly trying to dismantle it. They've tried the idea of vouchers. Now they have charter schools. All it does is hurt education. I mean, and I teach this in my world history class. It's the movie Bug's Life. It's the ants versus the grasshoppers. The problem is you get people to think that they're grasshoppers, but they're really ants. Okay. And I like some of the things that you guys do on Infowars, but I think some of it can be a little bit lunacy, so I listen to some of the things that you do, and I believe a lot of the things, but at the end of the day, Hillary's going to appoint a Supreme Court justice, possibly up to 4, that's better for America, better for workers, better for my son, better for the air that they breathe, the water that they drink. Okay, so that in the end, okay, yes, President Obama's gone, but he appointed 2 Supreme Court justices. He's going to appoint a 3rd to protect Hillary. He really is. So, I mean, so.
You guys know I don't like that stuff. This guy's going rock. Yeah, man. Bro, you just hit me with a freaking rock. What's your name, bro? You just hit me with a rock. You. Yeah, you. You guys just hit me with a freaking rock. There you ran. Now I got the tear gas in my lungs. Left of the barricades. All right, so we're outside the Trump event. It just wrapped up. It wrapped up a while ago, but probably about 20 minutes ago, they shot the tear gas off. And we talking to this gentleman, and he wants to tell us his thoughts on it.
The only reason that they started shooting tear gas at us is because an old man was pushed by a police officer. I asked, let him pass. Let him walk away. He had a cane. No, he hits him in the face for no apparent reason. When Donald Trump showed up, look how heavy and hate he brought here. I stand for people, our armed services, our men and women in uniform. We're supposed to stand united, but he brings division. He brings hatred. We're supposed to stand united, aren't we? Aren't we all Americans? Our liberty is supposed to be upheld. Our Constitution is supposed to be held in the strongest upset. My bad.
I'm going to challenge you here for 1 second. I'm not a Donald Trump supporter at all, but I'm going to say this to you. Donald Trump didn't set any trash can fires. Donald Trump didn't throw any rocks. All the other stuff you seen out here, he did not do that.
The reason that, fires started earlier. Yeah. But when that man was attacked by a police officer, that incited violence. Obviously, they brought it when they attacked that innocent man. Now, what the is that supposed to be about? My bad. Excuse my language. But look we're supposed to protect foreign and domestic. But they're domestic here. They're bringing domestic terrorism to us. We're all Americans. We have the free to stand where we please. We're not sheep. We're not slaves. Oh, my bad.
That's what you got to say.
And, you know, we're supposed to stand. Look at what they're trying to do. They're trying to force us on our knees. American was founded on revolution. We're founded on immigrants. George Washington, we should take example. Abraham Lincoln, Patton, they fought for this country, didn't they? Didn't they do any good? We must stand. We must stand united.
And I'm not sure how, if at all, the anti-Trump demonstrators helped their cause tonight. I'm by no means a Donald Trump supporter, but if I was to watch a video of people yelling and cussing at old women and little kids, that's not somebody I would want to team up with. Just vile rhetoric. And people talk about Donald Trump's racism, and yeah, he said a bunch of controversial stuff, but I've seen people just say the most hateful things, whether it's Hispanic to Hispanic, or white to white, whatever else, just attacking people on their physical appearance, just, you know, all manner of childishness, you know, like being in a 13-year-old or a 13-year-old lunchroom with a bunch of kids, you know. That's pretty much how it was. And I have to say, I did not see any Donald Trump supporters acting vile or vicious. Everybody I talked to was very polite. Even if I didn't agree with all their policies, they could explain why they felt that way in a very eloquent manner. And I found some anti-Trump people that could do so as well, but the number of Trump people that could speak their mind eloquently was much higher than the people I spoke to who opposed Donald Trump. They just yelled and cursed and, you know, F this and, you know, you do that with your mother, all that kind of stuff.
It's a little crazy, but this is what happens when Donald Trump comes to a Latin nation. But also, we're New Mexico, so let's get this straight. We're not in Mexico. We're New Mexico. We're above Mexico.
Get Brainforce at 25% off for a limited time at InfowarsLife.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more crazed, more focused, less brain fog, more energy, more special reports, and it's because of Brainforce.
One of the worst things with most energy products is it's not sustainable, right? You're gonna crash afterwards. And the cool thing about this is it's not just a bunch of energy compounds that are gonna fire your brain up to a higher RPM or whatever, which it does do. This is sustainable. This isn't going to spike and you're gonna collapse and you're gonna feel really bad afterwards. This has a bunch of different antioxidants and compounds and polyphenols.
Everybody's on these drugs to knock their brain out because the brain's so fried.
We're looking at the television screen for research purposes or whatever we're even doing, trying to learn something, or staring at the computer all day, working, doing good. You're still damaging your brain.
You will find Brainforce and other game-changing products at InfowarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
Get Brainforce at 25% off for a limited time at InfowarsLife.com. And we thank you for your support.
In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries in the area of health. But no one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. DNA Force is one of the most expensive formulas to produce. Some of the ingredients in DNA Force are $12,000 a kilogram. We are using the coveted, patented, only American source of PQQ, CoQ10, and more. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? Well, we're bringing you a total win-win. The ultimate value, cutting-edge, trailblazing game changer that also supports the InfoWar. We have produced a limited run of DNA Force, and it will take up to 12 weeks to produce more once we sell out. Secure your DNA Force today at InfowarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
The TSA, a monstrosity of bloated George Bush-era New World Order policy resulting from the nefarious relationship between the Bush family and the Saudis. This relationship has forced Rand Paul to file an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act mandating that the 28 classified pages of the 9/11 report be released within 60 days of the NDAA being signed into law later this year. Meanwhile, the TSA cost the taxpayers in the ballpark of $7 $7 billion annually. Money spent on a long, embarrassing track record, resulting in Homeland Security being successful in smuggling guns and bombs through TSA security 67 out of 70 times. Loaded guns still pass right through the TSA, as happened in Atlanta recently, not to mention the fact that you have a pretty good chance of being robbed by a TSA agent. RT reported that a TSA agent convicted of stealing more than $800,000 worth of goods from travelers said this type of theft is commonplace among airport security. Almost 400 TSA officers have been fired for stealing from passengers since 2003. But there we are, standing in long lines, each one of us having our Fourth Amendment rights violated and our tax dollars squandered, while the borders remain wide open as drug traffickers, child rapists, and terrorists surge through the unprotected property of American citizens while the Border Patrol is ordered to stand down. Meanwhile, as many as 4,000 flyers missed their flights on American Airlines from February of this year alone. Got it? Illegal aliens move freer than American citizens, and we are paying for it.
The borders are open, and we have mainstream news articles admitting that they fly in planes to New York every day out of Mexico and other countries, and no one is even checked. No IDs are even looked at. Congress approves TSA request for screeners to meet summer crush. They're going to get an additional $34 million to hire an additional 768 new officers and pay overtime for 42,000 plus.
So what does the establishment do? The House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform fired Kelly Hogan, the TSA's chief of security, mainly because Hogan, who was paid $181,000 a year, received $90,000 in bonuses, regardless of the fact that TSA had been recently revealed to be a complete failure. As if that fixes the problem. And the only recourse for the airlines as Memorial Day weekend looms is for the airlines to take over the gridlock. Bloomberg reports American, Delta, and United Airlines will spend as much as $4 million each for extra workers at their busiest airports to help manage lines and shuffle bins at checkpoints, freeing up TSA officers to focus on screening. Carriers and airports also are diverting some of their own employees to take the load off TSA staff. You want a solution? Shut down the TSA and reinvigorate the spirit of the American people by restoring the Fourth Amendment. Terrorists want to take a plane over? Well, our Second Amendment rights have a pretty simple fix for that. Of course, I admit, a shootout at 35,000 feet isn't the smartest solution. So if the bureaucracy must continue, take that $7 billion spent on the TSA annually and expand and modify the highly trained Sky Marshal Service into an agency that actually obeys the Bill of Rights. Because right now, the only thing the TSA provides is a guaranteed false sense of security to protect the travelers who are being set up for disaster by an alphabet agency expanding its grip on the very freedom and security the TSA supposedly protects. John Bound for Infowars.com.
Everybody, please hold up your OC Weekly sign. Please. What do you guys want to do to this piñata? All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys do what you guys want to do to this piñata. Go ahead. Go ahead. Everybody, come on.
Are your parents legal? I'm asking a question. Obviously, they're not. Maybe you were born here.
Don't listen to his bullshit.
Maybe you were born here. But were parents legal?
You are racist.
Yes, it
you
does.
You are a racist.
Because it shouldn't be in this country.
Racism at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God.
They can go back to whatever country they were born in.
Everyone in this country was not from here. We're all immigrants.
Exactly.
We're all immigrants.
lot of people have done it before.
That's what God gave us. That's what makes us all equal. He gave us rain. Now,
Mexico is very hard on their borders. Why don't you go down south?
This is going to prevail. Heaven and earth will pass.
But you lost the land. Thank God you lost the land. You think we want America to be like Mexico? No. If you want it, go to Mexico. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
You're browner than us. He is browner than us. You go to Mexico. He has accused me of dying of AIDS. He has called me a girl. He is homophobic. He is racist. Why would we halt Islam? Islamic people do nothing wrong. It is a bunch of group of people who are terrorizing has nothing to do with the religion.
On the sidewalk! Let's go! Out of the street! On the sidewalk! Get up on the sidewalk!
Disrespect your flag, but I love my country.
I love my country. I love it.
We're going through hard times.
I love this
I love this country as much as
Thank you. We all love America.
We all love America.
We don't like the way it's going
right now.
Hey, we're just trying to walk. You guys are blocking our way.
Just because you don't like Trump doesn't mean you don't have to love our country.
I said I'm not for Trump.
That's fair enough. See, we can come to an agreement, right? We can come to an agreement.
We lead the way for the nation right here. You know?
Everyone has different views, I guess,
We all have different views, and one is we're all getting screwed.
I got almost trampled. I almost got trampled.
Bernie knows. So Bernie knows.
I'm not saying any of these politicians know. I'm just saying Trump doesn't know. You know?
Where's the love? Where's the love? Trump! USA! 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 No love for bigotry! No love for bigotry!
USA! I love my country.
I hate bigotry! You're a bigot, bitch!
What does bigotry even mean? What does it even mean?
Look at the people with us! That's a lie!
Look at the people with us! We're not racist! Guys, racist!
You're all Americans!
He's a real racist! Get over it!
We all got Donald Trump! We all got to figure it out! We all got to figure it out!
Doesn't matter what
We like Donald Trump! Now you're so damn like Donald Trump! Ray Schreiber! Last year! Everybody was! And now everyone wants to say Donald!
Let's get off the sidewalk! Let's get it off the sidewalk! We love America!
God bless you, man!
This country! That's supposed to be us. We're all for the U.S.
Americans!
And then, how do you agree with
This side! Good for you, whoever threw that water! Wow, it feels good! It's high outside today!
Well, that's it for the show tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in.
We'll see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. and join us on The Alex Jones Show at 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Knockout is back. If you want a product that has 10 known ingredients that naturally get your body to relax, your brain to relax, so you get deep, restful sleep, Knockout's it. Infowarslife.com. L-theanine, hops flower extract, lemon balm extract, valerian root extract, chamomile flower extract, L-tryptophan extract, melatonin, and more. All organic, all the natural sources. It's the same price as leading brands of melatonin that are 3 milligrams a piece. It has 3 milligram, the standard recommended dose for an adult, and it just synergistically puts everything in there. Infowarslife.com. That's Infowarslife.com, or call 888-253-3139.
You are watching the Infowars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. And your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.